let's go find this bar. And why do they have that as our teleporting point when we teleport in? Just so that I have to sit through a loading screen. Like, what's the point of that? Why not teleport me to here? Maybe you can actually harvest them by the pound. Now that would be nice. Because they're like, okay, there's a single sample and it weighs, you know, half a pound and is worth 16,000 credits. And I was just like, well, can I harvest more of them? So I have, you know, 100 samples that are worth 16,000 credits.
My God, look at you. You're an old man now.
You're no hassling yourself anymore, Major. Our friend here showed me your sample. Suffice it to say.
Not here. Let's talk somewhere more private. Lou said we could use the back.
Trying to follow the subtitles when the SSN and broadcast kept overriding it. It's annoying. Guess I gotta start the conversation.
Lou gave me the abridged version of what went down. I can't thank you enough for taking care of all that.
Makes two of us.
I hope it ultimately didn't end up being too much trouble.
It was fine. A little more gunfire than I usually like on my delivery jobs, but nothing I couldn't manage. It was no walk in the park. Too much trouble is exactly how I described the experience I just had. A little more gunfire than I usually like, but nothing I couldn't manage.
Well, that's certainly not what I was expecting you'd have to go through. But thank you. I'm just glad you both came through intact. So, were you two able to get that workup together?
Got it right here. That sample? It's an exact match for the ones from Londinian.
Londinian. That's exactly what I was afraid of.
Not thrilled to be the bearer of that kind of news. That's for damn sure. So tell me you've got some kind of plan for that workup.
Well, right now, we've got more questions than answers. So I've been trying to figure out what it's gonna take to access our old Terramorph data.
Good place to start. What'd you find?
It's in the archives.
The Armistice Archives? Doesn't that mean we'd be dealing with the Cabinet? And the Freestar Collective? And House Varun somehow? Guess we can kiss that approach goodbye.
I didn't think the Cabinet would be willing to hear us out either. But I called in some favors. They've agreed to hear us out on two conditions. One, they want to see this analysis you two have procured. And two, they want to discuss what happened on Tau Ceti. With both of us.
Okay. All you need is someone to charm some higher-ups. I'm your guy. Doesn't sound like any run-of-the-mill data you're after. Think you owe me an explanation. Cabinet, what's that? What's the Armistice Archives? And what's it have to do with Freestar Collective and House Varun? We already know that, but we'll ask anyway.
Well, when the Colony War came to a close 19 years ago, with the signing of the Armistice, 3 factions were involved in the negotiations. The UC, Freestar, and House Varun. They made a lot of decisions about what sort of tactics should and shouldn't be permitted in future conflicts. All information related to the things they decided should be banned was locked away in the archives. Now, it's possible to get things out of there, but only with the agreement of members from all 3 factions. And as to what our research is doing in there, well, I'll get to that.
What's the Cabinet?
The Cabinet's the UC's highest governing body. The President, top military brass, scientific and diplomatic division heads. Any major decision the UC makes goes through them. They're the only real chance we've got of unlocking the archives. So without their blessing, we're flying blind.
Okay. Doesn't sound like any run-of-the-mill data you're after. I'll take that explanation now.
Of course. You deserve the full story. Percival and I, we're not just researchers. We were military scientists, ran a division of the UC together that deployed aliens on the battlefield as weapons.
Yes.
Place I was hiding out. That was our unit's home base.
After some early fits and starts at other facilities, the place eventually became the heart of UC xeno-warfare. A practice that's been banned ever since the armistice went into effect almost 20 years ago. And the UC military cut us loose for what we'd done.
I actually know who you are and your past. Well, that's none of my concern. Still doesn't explain what this terramorph data is doing in the archives. I was wondering if you were ever going to share that nugget with me. Then what does that make you two now? Is the UC going to throw me in prison for helping you? Reasonable question. But a better question. Because terramorphs, I don't think, from what my understanding, they weren't xeno weapons. They were terrible xeno creatures that were found. But they weren't
some time
modified or trained up or whatever to be used as weapons. So we'll start here and hopefully they'll let me ask that question. Is the UC going to throw me in prison for helping you?
No. We were both dismissed after the war for what we did. These days, we're just concerned citizens with a very particular area of expertise. Our damage has been done for a long time.
Okay. Then yes. What is terramorph data doing in the archive?
Well, it was during that assignment that the UC asked us to explore deploying terramorphs on the battlefield. The project never got off the ground, but the data our team gathered is now sitting in the archives, along with all the other information banned after the colony war. Under the watchful eye of monitors from all the galactic factions still participating in regular politics. But if we can convince the cabinet to help us access that data, it'll give us the tools we need to decipher what exactly this sample might mean. And hopefully, how to prevent more attacks like the one that spawned it.
Okay. Then let's go talk to this cabinet. Not thrilled about you keeping information from me, but I guess I can help you. I'm going to need time to think about this. Why wouldn't the cabinet agree to help us? And why should I trust you with this data? How do I know it's not dangerous? I don't see a reason not to trust them. But I guess it's fair to ask.
Because the Terramorph project was doomed from the start. Terramorphs are too mean, too smart, too hungry to be used in combat. Trust us, we tried. The data that's in the archives, it's historical write-ups, anatomical notation, food chain analyses. I doubt they would have even classified it if it didn't have a xeno-warfare logo on it. You have my word. It's not a threat.
Uh-huh. And why would the cabinet not agree to help us?
I mean, I hope they will, given the evidence we've acquired. But getting the Freestar Collective and House Varun on our side, that won't be easy.
Since neither group is exactly on great terms with the UC at the moment, for various reasons.
Exactly. It's going to mean negotiations and deals and plenty of diplomatic legwork to see this through. But I don't see a better option to solving what's going on here. So it's gonna be up to us to get them on board.
Alright, then let's go talk to this cabinet.
Alright. I'm gonna go get this work up into the cabinet's hands. I'll meet you out front of Mast in New Atlantis.
Good luck. You two are gonna need it.
Okay. So now we're just going back to New Atlantis.
Return of the Interceptor broke box office records with its release.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna have a big official meeting with Cabinet, which is head of UC, and then assuming they agree with us, then they're gonna actually start the process of getting the various factions together to talk about getting this Terramorph data. Which I don't know how much more info we can get about Terramorphs from that data. Because apparently this guy had enough knowledge that he was able to perfectly identify that the Terramorph was from Londinium and hadn't been on a ship. So what other information are they needing to get more knowledge of how Terramorphs work? that they can only get in this archive. Like, the cynic in me would say that this seems like someone moved a terramorph to the planet for the sole purpose of getting this archive opened. Maybe not even anything to do with the terramorphs, but just opening the archive for their own nefarious plans, because the archive never opens. So, doing something to get it to be agreed to be open, then they can break in or something. Like, that makes some sense to me. I don't know. We'll see where this goes. Retrieve Barrett's belongings at the lodge. Deliver a plate of liver patty to the clinic. Don't care. Talk to the bartender. That was the illegal mission that I had chosen not to do at the time. But we've done enough questionable things that maybe I'll check that out. But I guess for now we'll go here and take care of that job. One we're still currently on. Alright. So that should just be right up here.
Captain! Over here!
Put down a quick save.
The workup's in the cabinet's hands. They said they'll call for us once they've gotten to properly review it.
Okay.
But listen, I know I should have been more forthcoming about who I was earlier. So, in the interest of full disclosure, there's one more thing you ought to know before we head up there. My relationship with the UC. It's more complicated than it might seem at first glance. The UC's actually the only reason I'm here in the first place. I am a clone of a man named Francois Sanon, one-time fleet admiral of the UC during the Colony War, former head of the UC Navy. They called him Ve Victus. Woe to the defeated, in Old Earth Latin. A title he earned. The program I was a part of, it was the UC's attempt to create a new generation of military minds from one of their most respected tacticians. Secure the leadership of the UC military for generations to come.
Huh. That is a strange choice. So, cloning brilliant military minds in the hope that the clones would also end up being brilliant military minds, but obviously not complete clones because he was a man and she's a woman. Yeah, you're a clone of a man. How's that work? Yeah. Others from your program still out there? Other clones?
I'm the last. A few of my siblings, they passed when we were young. Training accidents and the like. But most of the rest were deployed to the front lines during the Colony War, and they never came back. Not a day goes by where I don't think about what the world would look like with them still in it.
You're a clone of a man? How's that work?
A non-trivial amount of gene editing. Clone, honestly, isn't even really the right term for our relationship, thanks to the amount of donor material that was required to bring me into this world. He and I are different on more than a few levels, but there's no denying the fact we're inextricably linked.
Okay. This Ve Victus must have been an impressive commander for the UC to want to clone him. Agreed.
He would have happily told you he was one of the greats. Ultimately, though, it didn't matter. The man I was cloned from, my father, was executed for acts he committed during the war. The man caused a lot of death, on both sides. Freestar Collective, and UC. Military, and civilians. And the things he did, well, they're a part of the reason the UC and Freestar Collective aren't really on great terms to this day. So my involvement It could be another obstacle they throw at us up there. I just wanted you to be forewarned.
Okay. You're not your father. If the cabinet doesn't see that, it's their problem, not yours. Not sure I can blame them. This family of yours doesn't sound like they were paragons of virtue. So you're using me to distract them. Great. Wow, I thought my family was messed up. My family's fine. Like, we've met our parents in-game. They seem like perfectly normal people. What did your father do to merit being executed?
He had his men open fire on civilian ships during the Battle of Cheyenne. A battle that he ultimately ended up losing anyway, devastating the UC fleet and bringing the colony war to an ugly end for the UC. But he's also the one who ordered the bombing of the Londinian spaceport during their outbreak, condemning countless lives. Both sides agreed the settled systems would be better without him.
Huh. You're not your father, and if the cabinet doesn't see that, it's their problem and not yours.
I really appreciate you saying that. I just thought you deserved to know, considering how much you've done already. You know, while we've got a second, was there anything else we needed to discuss? I know you got dropped into the middle of this pretty fast. Or if you've got any last-minute business to attend to, now might be a good time. No telling how long the cabinet's gonna keep us waiting out here.
That sounds like a... like when a game is just like, hey, before you do this next quest, make sure you take care of everything you can first. Don't have any questions? No, actually, I need to go take care of a few things. So honestly, what are the risks of us accessing this data? Any suggestions on what I should say to the cabinet? Are you willing to tell me more about your father? Your eyes, they're red. Is that a result of the cloning process? I was curious about that.
That's actually a souvenir from my time on Mars. The Red Devils unit I was a part of, they were founded by recruits who'd worked some of Mars' deepest mines. Folks used to adversity. The dust at those depths, it seeps into everything. The human eye included. Where the name Red Devils came from in the first place. It became an unwritten rite of passage that anyone wanting to enlist with the Devils had to do a stint in the mines before they could join up. The Devils were always talked about in such revered tones during my training, so as soon as I was old enough, I signed up. And the eyes were my parting gift.
Huh. Well, are you willing to tell me more about your father?
I mean, we never spent a lot of time together. He was too busy being fleet admiral to deal with kids. I was raised by a pair of guardians instead. Until his defeat during the colony war, though, he was known as an extremely effective commander. Savvy. Perceptive. That mind opened a lot of doors for him. And for me, too. But Victus, for all his ability, was heartless. Ruthless to a fault. In the end, that's what cost him his life.
Huh. Any suggestions on what I should say to the cabinet?
Well, thinking about it more, I suspect there'd be value in sharing the fact that the Terramorph project was, well, a failure. There's no need to be afraid of this data being weaponized. Knowing that should calm some of the cabinet's fears and make it easier for us to dispel any suspicions the other factions might have about our intentions.
Sensible. So honestly, what are the risks of us accessing this data?
Eye strain from the amount of reading I've got on the horizon if we succeed. The Terramorph project never went anywhere. It couldn't. They're deadly creatures, but they aren't xenoweapons. The cabinet not opening the archives is probably a bigger risk than them handing over the files. That data itself isn't dangerous, which probably wouldn't be a bad point for us to bring up, should the opportunity arise.
They point that out to us twice, which means it's probably important. Then, yeah, don't have any questions.
Then I guess it's just a matter of...
The cabinet meeting is about to begin. All parties, please proceed to the cabinet chambers.
Okay.
Sounds like our cue.
Oh, are you just gonna slowly walk? Whatever. Cabinet chambers. Wow, there are a lot of locations on here. But sure, cabinet. guess we can go in on either side. Wow, this has a very Mass Effect 1 standing before the council feel to it.
Ah, welcome. You must be the captain Hadrian mentioned in her report. You have our thanks for the risks you faced in securing this information.
Hadrian made it clear that addressing this issue required the utmost urgency, just following orders. Thanks, don't keep my ship fueled. Thanks, don't keep my ship fueled, ma'am. Wow. Pay me. Yeah, so dropping her name would go badly, but I think that is good. Just following orders could also be a good answer, but it required utmost urgency.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yes, well, precisely how urgent is what I hope we'll determine here today. So now, we have two petitioners here making a surprising request. Access to the UC Xeno Warfare Team's Terramorph data, currently housed in the Armistice archives. A request which will require not just this body's agreement, but that of all three Armistice signatories. UC, Freestar Collective, and House Varun.
Yep.
Now, Captain, we've all read Hadrian's report on the subject, but we have yet to hear from you. Perhaps you could summarize for the Cabinet what it is you see as the goal of this endeavor.
Okay. We're still trying to figure out what we're facing. We can't make an informed decision without data. We need the archival data to find a way to stop a possible terramorph apocalypse. I'm just here to talk about what happened. Hadrian's the one with the grand plans. Remind me what's kept in these archives? No. We need the archival data to find a way to stop possible terramorph apocalypse.
That's quite the leap, Captain. Madam President, I object to the very premise of this meeting. While no one would argue that what happened on Tau Ceti was anything less than a tragedy, terramorph attacks are not some sudden new threat on the horizon. They've been happening for generations. To demand we hand over banned archival knowledge and possibly upset the balance of galactic diplomacy because of a single attack seems at best panic. And at worst, a power grab by the daughter of a bloodthirsty warmonger and her associates.
I would remind the chief diplomat who he's speaking to. If it's my father you're looking to address, you're welcome to consult a medium.
I would
Harsh.
also ask how many deaths the Cabinet requires to act. 50? 50,000? Because if tragedies like Tau Ceti are just prelude to more attacks, I have no doubt you'll get the body count you require.
Let's keep this civil, shall we? And while there should be no doubt the preservation of life stands paramount among this body's duties, Chief Yassine has a point. Will a single attack, however troubling, be sufficient to convince the other factions to grant us access to what they no doubt consider weapon data? I don't think it's enough. Perhaps you can help, Captain. As the one who actually collected the sample in question, did this terramorph seem at all alarming to you?
Well, I was scared, but I managed to wipe it out without even using the turrets. So, we wiped out a colony that never saw it coming. That's pretty alarming. I only know what I was told. Its tissue matched the ones from Londinium. No, ma'am, nothing special to report. Can I say both of these? Feel like it's tissue matched Londinium, because it wiping out a colony that never saw it coming, I think that's just standard terramorph behavior. But the fact that it's from Londinium, I feel, is
Captain?
a more unusual quality.
Just taking her word for it as well, then.
So it would seem. So then, Captain, given the discussion now and the information you've been privy to thus far, if you were in our position, would you grant the request made to open the archives?
If there's a chance that what happened at Tau Ceti could happen elsewhere, we need to grant the request. Yes, if the fear is the data being weaponized, the Terramorph program failed, the data is not dangerous. Personally, I wouldn't wait yet. We don't yet have enough information yet. A double yet is strange. Madam President, if it were me, I wouldn't grant this request. The archives are sealed for a reason. I'm gonna go with this one because she told me twice that it's something I should use. If fear the data being weaponized, the Terramorph program failed. The data is not dangerous.
It doesn't matter if it can be weaponized or not. The archives need to remain sealed for now. There's no reason to rush into a decision of this magnitude.
That? I hadn't thought of that, Captain.
An excellent point indeed. The other powers would likely be much more inclined to work with us knowing that. Chief Diplomat.
That point is a good one. Very well, you have my agreement. The galaxy is lucky you were here today, Captain.
He changed his tune quick.
You and I are in agreement, Chief Diplomat. So, if there are no other objections, I believe we can agree to give our full backing to make the request to...
An incident has
hello?
Facility lockdown engaged.
Incident. Chief Sarkin, what's happening?
There's been an attack at the spaceport. Terramorphs.
Terramorphs. More attacks. Just as predicted.
Good God.
Damn it. They're here. Now.
There must be another explanation. The creatures evaded our scanner somehow.
There will be plenty of time for conjecture
There's something I need to
later.
talk to you about.
Chief Sarkin, order the evacuation of the spaceport and have your men contain the things, but do it discreetly. The last thing we need is a citywide panic.
Yes, ma'am.
Admiral Logan, the local barracks can provide support?
I'll make the order myself. Nearest anti-Xeno squad, though, is off-world. Going to take a while to bring them in.
Well then, we'll have to make do with the tools we've got. You two, we can't risk those things getting out of the spaceport. I want you both on the next train there. We'll let them know you're coming, and that you've dealt with these things before. Now go show them how it's done.
We're on it, ma'am. Captain, I'm right behind you. Let's get down there.
Uh-huh. Alright, Sarah, you want to talk?
Last conversation, when you told me the artifacts made you feel like raw energy was coursing through your veins.
Yes.
Well, it got me thinking. So I dove into our archives and started looking through Constellation's older journal entries. Just because I wasn't familiar with the experience you described, doesn't mean the same might have been true for my predecessor.
Never mentioned your predecessor to me. I'd like to discuss this with you later. Were any of the old journal entries helpful? I guess we'll start with that one.
Unfortunately, no. Other than you and Barrett, there were no records of direct encounters with the artifacts. I have to admit, though, I did get more than a bit sidetracked reminiscing about old times.
Okay. Well, you've never mentioned your predecessor to me before.
Really? I'm surprised that I haven't. After reading those journals, all of the pleasant memories of my time spent with Aja just started flooding back.
Yeah, Pseudonym says bad timing. No, it's in the middle of a Terramorph attack and we're just having a casual conversation. It's fine. I feel like we're making some good memories of our own. Aja must have been quite an amazing person. Keep talking like that and I might get jealous. Aja.
Aja Mamasa. She was the youngest member of Constellation when it was founded. Only took her 15 years to reach chair. Sorry, I sometimes get so caught up in my own bubble, I forget that I wasn't the first.
Keep talking like that and I might get jealous. She must have been an amazing person. Yeah, she must have been an amazing person.
Absolutely was. Aja was the one that taught me the ropes at Constellation and took me under her wing as her protege.
Maybe she was just trying to keep an eye on the rookie. The rookie being paired with the chair sounds awfully familiar. Being paired with the boss must have been quite an honor. Yeah, the rookie being paired with the chair sounds awfully familiar.
Hey, so I pinched a few ideas from my old boss. Can you blame me? At any rate, we logged quite a few discoveries together, but it was the actual journey that I cherished the most.
I can relate to that. I find the journey boring, but I lived for the destination. Did you discover anything I might have heard about?
We catalogued unusual stellar phenomena, a few habitable worlds, and some unique life forms, but Nothing SSNN would bother to report.
Well, I can relate to that.
Exactly. For me, it was all about the quieter moments. There was nothing quite like sitting back and watching space bend while listening to Aja spin vivid stories to fill the time. Oh, I find that sort of cozy isolation the best way to really get to know someone.
Yeah, the quiet times, like this alarm blaring around us that we're ignoring. So I've noticed, I take it I'm the protege on this journey. It's good to know, since I'm gunning for your position. Cozy isolation.
Yeah, you know, being alone in interstellar space. Nothing but light years of black around you. Some people find that terrifying. I find it comfortable. It helps me bond with my shipmates.
So I take it I'm the protege of this journey?
At this point, I'd say you've graduated from protege and moved up the ladder. A bit. You know, all this talk about Aja reminds me that my time with her was a gift. I miss her dearly.
Gunning with a sniper rifle during an attack. Yeah. Oh, is she dead? Sounds like you two were in love. At least she left a vacancy for you to fill his chair. Harsh. Is she dead?
No, she retired. Living on Porima 2 now, I think. Come to think of it, if we're ever out that far, perhaps we could pay her a visit, and I could make proper introductions.
Okay. I'll do the best I can to make our journeys just as pleasant. I don't know, she sounds like a tough act to follow. Well, hopefully I'm a suitable substitute. Are you sure visiting Aja now would be such a good idea?
Oh, don't worry. There's no bad blood between us. The worst that might happen is you get stuck listening to two old friends catching up on old times.
Well, hopefully I'm a suitable substitute.
Yeah, you'll do. Look, I don't expect you to be an exact copy of Aja. Your hunger for exploration, to pierce the veil and seek the unknown, it's a common bond that we share. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, you certainly have me all figured out. If you're wrong, I hope you won't be disappointed or flirt. I'd like to discover more about what we have right here. Probably not the time. Well, you certainly have me all figured out.
Good. Then we're both on the same page. Anyway, that's all I had to discuss for now, so if you point the way, we can continue our journey.
Good. There's an alien attack we should probably deal with. Hey, guys. You're going the wrong way. The danger is up here.